Today's Tuesday, July 24th, and welcome to the Music Business Blitz.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Hope your day is getting started off right. Appreciate you tuning in. What we're going to talk about today is the Pirate Act, Eventbrite possibly going public, and a new type of radio station. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Hey, pirates, it's time to start taking notice.
Now, there's a certain skill set that continuously impresses me, and it is the skill set of being able to come up with words behind a fitting acronym. As such, let's go ahead and talk about the Pirate Act, which stands for Preventing Illegal Radio Abuse Through Enforcement. Now, first off, if you're a fan of politics, don't get this confused with another act that failed to pass the House back in 2004, 2005, and 2006, which was also called the Pirate Act, but at that time stood for Protecting Intellectual Rights Against Theft and Expropriation. And although that act was also music-related, it focused on allowing federal prosecutors to file civil lawsuits against suspected copyright infringers, as opposed to only being able to prosecute under criminal lawsuits. Now, this new Pirate Act, which was just recently passed by the House Energy and Commerce Subcommittee on Communications and Technology, would increase fines for unlicensed or pirate radio stations from $10,000 per violation up to $100,000 per day per violation, with a maximum fine of $2 million. Now, the legislation also mandates the FCC to perform pirate sweeps no less than twice a year in the country's top 5 radio markets to help uncover pirate operations. And since the bill has passed the House, it is now on the way to Congress for final voting. Now, before we move on to the next story, I assume that a few of you are probably asking yourself, wait a hot minute, I love music, and I love sharing music on my ham radio station, so will this affect me? And the short answer is no, because one, who has a ham radio station? But if you do, you're probably a super smart person, so you probably find a way around this law. But the bill excludes really radio hobbyists, or as referred to in the bill, legitimate Part 15 operations. So you are excluded, you're good to go. And if for some reason I just opened your mind to the fact that you can set up an amateur radio station in your garage, then you're welcome.
Eventbrite may go public.
If you recall, about a month ago, we talked about the massive hack of Ticketfly, which resulted in millions upon millions of user information being stolen and allegedly put up on the black market. So Ticketfly's parent company, Eventbrite, is reportedly trying to double down and, per the Wall Street Journal, appear to be laying the groundwork for an IPO. Now, for those of you not familiar with the term, IPO stands for Initial Public Offering, and it's essentially when a private company goes public on the stock market and allows shares of their company to be sold to institutional and retail investors. Now, the interesting thing here is that no one in the ranks of Eventbrite have publicly addressed the massive hack or have made any attempt to explain what actually happened and how they are going to prevent this type of hack from occurring in the future. Now, the hack did take place in early June, so to be fair, perhaps the investigation and remedial measures are still ongoing, but I'd like to think that there would be some type of press release or some type of meeting addressing the hack and what preventative measures are going to be put into place to prevent, again, this from happening in the near future. But in all reality, I am sure that a company of this size and stature are still in prep mode, and once they go down the IPO path publicly, they most likely will have something in place to share with potential investors.
A new type of radio station.
I'm curious how many of you out there actually still listen to FM radio. If I was to take a guess, I'd say that probably 30 to 40% of you listen to it when you have no other options for music. And for those of you who actually still do choose to listen to the radio all the time, I'd imagine, you're about 10 to 20% of the total population, and that your car is your primary location for your music listening habits. And if these stats do not surprise you, then you're probably part of the radio industry and you are grasping for straws at this point because listenership is significantly down. And so there is a new company with an FM radio offering called Right Now Music Radio that is trying to improve listenership and bring people back to radio. And the idea behind the offering is that they are targeting millennials by curating blocks of music from popular playlists in, quote, real time. Likewise, the company has an algorithm that allegedly recognizes what region it is in and pulls the most popular songs in that particular region and puts it on playlists that get played through the FM radio. Now, my personal opinion, if all you're doing is taking digital streaming content and then piping it through a non-clear radio station, I don't know what kind of advantage you're going to have, because you still have ads on radio, so you're not bypassing the free tier of a streaming music service. But hey, you got to get something to try, so I guess that this is definitely an interesting thought. Now, what I think is pretty funny out here is that when the normal person hears this about this station, they're probably going to scratch their heads and think, wait, isn't this the primary purpose of radio, to play extremely popular music to us because that is what we want to hear as a population? And I respond to that saying, well, yes and no, and I won't bother you with the details, but you got to think radio is free to you, so they got to sell ads and they got to have additional revenue streams. And if you were an artist back in the day, getting on radio would launch your career, so you can imagine the type of shady deals that went down between radio directors and labels. It's called payola. I won't get into it, but definitely look it up. All right, folks, appreciate you tuning in. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Do something nice for somebody, and we will catch back up with you tomorrow.